Hi guys, this is Miss Toy, and today we are going to be doing our Social Studies Simple Solutions Lesson 17 today. And for this, we will need a highlighter and a writing utensil. If you don't have a highlighter, that is perfectly fine. So we're going to go ahead and read about the Inca in our reading passage. So I'm going to go ahead and begin reading. The Incan civilization was the largest pre-Columbian empire when the Spanish arrived in the New World. So Incan is bolded in that first sentence, so we're going to go ahead and highlight that very first sentence. So the Incan civilization was the largest pre-Columbian empire when the Spanish arrived in the New World. The Inca were the dominant or most powerful group on the continent that is now called South America. Less is known about these native people than about the Aztecs. This is because the Inca had no written language. Their history was passed on through oral tradition, the telling and retelling of history and events by word of mouth from one generation to the next. Historians and scientists have pieced together information about Incan society from studies of ruins at the site of the ancient city of Machu Picchu. So, that last sentence has a very important word in it, Machu Picchu. So let's go ahead and highlight the very last sentence. It starts with historians and scientists. So this is what mine looks like so far. Despite having no written language, the Inca were a very advanced culture. Like the Aztecs, the Inca worshipped many gods. Much like the rulers of Egypt, the Inca believed their kings were gods living on earth. The Inca carved statues and made beautiful tapestries or woven pictures. They also possessed great architectural skills. The 15th century was a period of great growth for the Inca. They increased their size and power by conquering many neighboring peoples. For this reason, the Inca Empire included many different ethnic groups. An ethnic group is made up of people who share a common culture and language. So that whole sentence has an important word in it, ethnic group. So let's highlight an ethnic group is made up of people who share a common culture and language. The downfall of the Inca began in 1526 when a Spanish conquistador named Francisco Pizarro entered the land of the Incas. So that last sentence we will highlight as well, because Francisco Pizarro is bolded. So far, this is what your reading passage should look like if you are highlighting. Okay. So question 1 is, on what continent did the Inca live? Now, in that second sentence, it says the Inca were the dominant or most powerful group on the continent that is now called South America. So in our first question, we are going to write South America. Okay. And question 2, what word means a partnership with an agreement to work together? So we have our words are conquistador, alliance, epidemic, and adaptation. So as we talked about when we were talking about the Aztecs, a conquistador is basically the Spanish word for conqueror. So obviously, conquistador will probably not be a partnership with an agreement to work together. An alliance is going to be our answer here, because an alliance is a partnership with an agreement to work together. So if you listen to the news, like, the United States and Europe have an alliance together, if you're listening about that in history, so we're going to go ahead and circle an alliance. And we know what an epidemic is. Obviously, I feel like that's a term that's been used in recent events, especially. So, and then an adaptation, that's just like you're adapting to your environment pretty much. So far, this is what our answers are. Now, questions 3 through 4. Match each term with its clue. So we have that really hard word, chillin', and I know I butchered it, but that's okay. So if we remember back in our Aztec readings, back in lesson 14, I think. Yes, lesson 14 begins the Aztecs. When we went over that, let's see here. I think it's right here. So that is our capital city. And it was the Aztecs' capital city in Mesoamerica. So, for the very first vocabulary word, that would be the capital city of the Aztec Empire. So I'll let you get that. Now, Cortez. Cortez was a person, Hernan Cortez, and he was a conqueror. And we read about him with our Aztecs lessons when we talked about those. So Cortez is the conqueror of the Aztecs. And then we have Montezuma. That is a capital word, so we know it is either going to be a city or a person. But looking at these options, we have the Spanish term for conqueror, the capital of New Spain, and the king of the Aztecs. And Montezuma was the king of the Aztecs, as we remember back in our lessons 14 and 15. We can remember that he was the king of the Aztecs at the time. So Montezuma is E. And then conquistador, as I talked about in question 2, conquistador is the Spanish term for conqueror. So that is choice A. And then, as we remember talking about Mexico City, when they took over the Aztecs, they made Mexico City the capital of the New Spain when the Spaniards came over and conquered that area. So Mexico City is C. So there's your answers right there. Question 5. Blank is the money a business has left after all expenses are paid. And our options here are manufacture, service, profit, or produce. So manufacture is basically the machinery and the labor that is used to manufacture the products and goods that a business is selling. So we know that manufacture is not the money that a business has left. Service, basically the people that are either selling or bringing a service to the product and to the consumer. So that's not the money left. So our only option here would be a profit. So a profit is the money a business has left after all expenses are paid. So that's the money that they're gaining for themselves. So, you always hear the terms, what is their profit, is what the money that a business is making. So 5 is profit. Okay, 6 through 8, list the 5 oceans in the world. You'll find a list on the help pages. If you can use this mnemonic device to remember the names of the oceans from smallest to largest. Any spider is a pest. So if we go back to our help pages, you're going to want to look at that world map. And we're going to put them in smallest to largest. And in that, any spider is a pest, and that mnemonic device, it actually is from smallest to largest. So we need to find the ocean with the letter A, the smallest ocean. So let's take a look here. So the only 2 oceans that start with an A is the Arctic Ocean, which is right here at the top near like that North Pole. And then we have the Atlantic Ocean, which is like right in between here, this big ocean right here. So the smallest one would probably be the Arctic, which is at the top. So we'll put that one first, the Arctic Ocean. Okay, the next one is any spider, so it's S for spider. So the only ocean that's on our world map here with an S is the Southern Ocean. And the Southern Ocean's right down here at the south. Near Antarctica, and that's that little ocean that covers that. So we'll put the Southern Ocean. And then our next one is in the mnemonic device, any spider is, so I. And the only other ocean that starts with an I is the Indian Ocean, which is right here, that's in between Australia, Asia, and Africa. So it's right in there. And India, the country India is located right here. So this is going to be the Indian Ocean. So we'll write that for the next one. And we only have two more, which is A and P. So our next biggest ocean is the Atlantic Ocean that we talked about right here. And this is the ocean that many European explorers would use to travel to South America and to parts of North America. So that would be Atlantic. And then our last ocean that we have, which is the biggest one, is the Pacific Ocean. Now, the California, which is located right here, part of the United States, borders that Pacific Ocean right there. So the next one is Pacific Ocean. And this is what I have so far. Okay, 9 through 10. The following words name either needs or wants. Put the letter of each word in the correct column in the chart. So A is oxygen. So is that a need or a want? So oxygen is going to be a need. We need that oxygen to breathe. You know, we couldn't survive without it. So I'm going to put A in the needs column. And the next one we have on here is a telephone. Telephones somewhat now are, you know, not technically a need. They're more so of a want. So I'm going to put a telephone in the want column. And a candy game, obviously we don't need that to survive. We will be fine without a candy game. So a candy game, C, is going to be in wants. And D, food. We definitely need food to survive. It's one of our basic needs. So we are going to want to put D, food, in our needs column. A snowboard, I'm sure we can survive without a snowboard, so that is definitely a want. I don't even have a snowboard, and I can still survive without one. So we're going to put snowboard in E. A bookcase, that is not technically a need. We don't need a bookcase to survive. So we're going to put F, bookcase, in a want column. G is water. Water is definitely a need. We all need water to survive. If we did not have it, it would be very unfortunate. So G, water, is going to go in our needs column. H is shelter. We definitely need shelter to survive, to protect us from the elements outside. So let's put H in our needs column. Clothing, we probably should have clothing in our needs column because clothing also protects us in our our skin and our bodies from the elements. So let's put I in clothing. We'll put I in needs, excuse me. And video games, that is definitely a want. We can survive without video games for sure. We don't need them as our basic, to do our basic functions. So that will go in the wants. And this is lesson 17. And that is all for that lesson. Thank you.